went to Hollywood, and there was a theater. I looked at the marquee.
Every little town here, Longview, man, you name it, I've been there. You know.
Elvis Presley's romantic life has been a topic of discussion years after his death. While the iconic singer was linked to several ladies, his romance with Ann Margaret stood out. Being a famous actress, Ann's relationship with Presley had sparked the interest of all. Even though their fling was well publicized, the duo kept some secrets to themselves. What are these hidden truths? Let's find out. Elvis and Ann Margaret's relationship. Ann Margaret met Elvis Presley on July 1963 on the MGM soundstage at Radio Recorder Studios in Hollywood when they filmed MGM's upcoming Viva Las Vegas. She was introduced to Elvis Presley by George Sidney. After their introduction, they both shook hands, and their humorous nature drew them to each other instantly. According to Ann Margaret, she was calm about meeting the king, Elvis Presley, a man who was known to have captured the hearts of almost all the women in America. Little did she know that he was soon going to capture hers, too. According to Ann Margaret, her relationship with Elvis was first professional. After they were introduced to each other, a few shots were taken of them, and that was all. They met again on July 11th in Radio Recorder's studio on 7000 Santa Monica Boulevard in Los Angeles. They both had to perform a couple of duets for the film, and during their performance, they both found each other instantly and were on the same wavelength. Aside from their breathtaking performances, Elvis Presley and Ann Margaret had similar personalities and qualities. Both came from simple backgrounds, were hesitant to strangers, and were sometimes very shy. Their passion for music also played a huge role in their spark, and it ignited a fiery, pent-up passion inside them. They both experienced music in the same visceral way. Music gave them an odd, embarrassing, funny, inspiring, and wonderful sensation. When they both danced, it was like a virtual mirror image. Whenever Elvis thrust his pelvis, Ann Margaret's own slammed forward too. Whenever his shoulder dropped, hers came down with his too. Whenever Elvis whirled, Ann was always on her heel. When they were on stage, they became wild animals as they were both drawn to music. Performing wasn't difficult because they gave it their all. Both of them were also night people. According to Ann Margaret, they both began to discover many things they had in common as they worked together. Aside from their love for music, they shared a passion for motorcycles, a love of family, a desire for privacy, a devotion to God, and late-night talks. On July 15th, the shooting started in Las Vegas. Elvis Presley and his friends occupied the 28th floor of the Sahara Hotel, where he stayed in the presidential suite, while Ann Margaret stayed a few floors down. According to Film Inc., Ann Margaret had so much energy and pep that she had blown her previous 3 male co-stars off screen. Elvis Presley was the only one who could match her, and he was the best on-screen partner she ever had, as she was his. In the early days of filming, Elvis Presley asked her to go out with him and his guys to see a show in Las Vegas. According to Ann Margaret, the date was innocent and friendly. She wasn't bothered about his friends coming with him because they all treated her nicely. His friends also felt comfortable around her. Elvis Presley became more comfortable with Ann Margaret, and their relationship aggravated. They both began to spend more time alone, and he gradually opened up to her, perhaps more than he ever had with any other person in his life. According to her, Elvis Presley had dreams and desires, hopes and hurts, wants and weaknesses that he didn't share or reveal to anyone until they had disappeared. Those private moments, when they were alone after darkness had covered the city, they would find a secluded spot in the hills and look down upon the sprawl of Las Vegas or stare up at the stars. Initially, Elvis and Ann Margaret might have denied being drawn to each other from the start, but as their relationship got deeper, others soon began to see the sparks flying between them. According to an AP correspondent, they both held hands and disappeared into his dressing room between shots. They also had lunch together in seclusion. Ann Margaret was the most important woman in Elvis Presley's life, outside his family. Playing opposite Elvis in Viva Las Vegas, she became one of Presley's most memorable leading ladies during his Hollywood career, with the energy of the music drawing them together. Elvis Presley's cousin Billy Smith revealed that Ann Margaret made Presley's life a little easier because she understood him and didn't make any demands on him. Aside from Ann Margaret's role in Elvis Presley's life, she also understood his need for his family, and that was something his fiancée Priscilla lacked. They both had egos, and this was the only thing that threatened their relationship during the Viva Las Vegas shoot. The director of the film, George Sidney, was reported to have given Ann Margaret special attention during filming. Elvis Presley's cronies, Red West, Lamar Fike, Joe Esposito, and Sonny West also accused George Sidney of giving Ann Margaret favorable camera angles at the expense of Elvis Presley. Elvis also complained bitterly about it to his friends. According to Red West, he sensed that George was trying to cut him out of the picture. His complaints got to Colonel Parker's ears, and he took George up on the matter. According to Presley biographer Peter Guralnick, the Colonel then confronted the producers, reminding them that this was an Elvis Presley picture. The Colonel also refused to buy MGM's argument, which was built around the fact that featuring Ann Margaret would draw a wider audience to the film. Guralnick also reported that Parker used his power to pull out 2 of the 3 duets recorded by the 2 stars from the film. The final edit of Viva Las Vegas revealed that Elvis Presley received the most exposure. He had 6 solo numbers, while Ann Margaret had just 2. Her strength as a dancer was also featured, but overall, the film came across as an Elvis Presley film, with Ann Margaret as a strong leading lady. Despite Elvis Presley's professional jealousy in the camera angle controversy, his relationship with Ann Margaret wasn't affected. By that time, their relationship had already developed into a full-blown love affair. According to Lamar Fike, Elvis Presley's affair with Ann Margaret was not just an affair. He was deeply in love with her, and their relationship became intense. Marty Lacker also revealed that neither of them was married at that time, and they cared deeply about each other. He also further added that Priscilla was back at Graceland. After they had finished filming Viva Las Vegas, their relationship continued. In Jerry Schilling's book, he reported seeing Ann Margaret enter Elvis Presley's California home late at night in the fall of 1964 with her key. Marty Lacker also claimed that Ann used to write letters to Elvis and sign them Bunny or Thumper. She also called Graceland using the same code. According to Ann Margaret, Elvis knew she loved pink and had commissioned a round pink bed in a moment of tenderness for her. Since Elvis Presley and Ann Margaret were actually in a relationship, how long did their relationship last, and how did it affect Elvis Presley's relationship with Priscilla? The love triangle: Elvis, Margaret, and Priscilla. The love between Ann Margaret and Elvis Presley kept growing stronger. As time passed, they learned to trust each other and their feelings. Journalists soon discovered this was no ordinary Hollywood romance created by publicity agents. Articles and pictures were released, further driving Priscilla crazy back in Memphis. Elvis Presley had to reassure Priscilla that nothing was going on the phone, but he couldn't calm her down. Priscilla threatened to come west herself, but was discouraged by Elvis after he gave various reasons for her not to come. As Ann Margaret became Elvis Presley's woman in Hollywood, young Priscilla, whom he was in a relationship with, was pining away at Graceland. Elvis Presley and Ann Margaret's relationship provided a fairy tale interlude in Presley's life, but had to end in 1977 after Presley made a choice. The affair blew up when Ann Margaret appeared in England for the grand premiere of Viva Las Vegas. The English press inquired about her romance with Elvis Presley, and she did not deny it. After she confirmed their relationship, headlines and articles gave the impression of a soon-to-be engagement and marriage between her and Elvis Presley. Later, after her revelation, Ann Margaret called Elvis Presley, explaining to him that things had been blown out of proportion and that she was misquoted. According to her, the newspapers had exaggerated what she told them. Poor Elvis Presley ran into trouble at home and didn't know what to make of it. He had a huge fight with Priscilla like never before, where he threatened her on several occasions to send her back to Germany. After their fight, Priscilla told her parents, and they went into a rage. The Colonel was called in, which further increased the pressure on Elvis Presley's neck. He was told to end the affair with Ann Margaret and to live up to his promise to Priscilla and her family. Deep down, he knew it was finally time to make up his mind. Some of those in the Memphis Mafia were convinced that Elvis Presley would have chosen Ann-Margret if only she had chosen to give up her career, knowing fully well that she couldn't do so. After Ann-Margret's shocking revelation, Elvis Presley stopped calling her, and he refused to return her calls too. Ann-Margret refused to give up on him. She sent a telegram to him, but got no reply. She also tried to get information about him from his friends, but she received no valid response. According to Ann-Margret's account, other factors in Elvis Presley's life also forced him away from her. She understood those factors well. Elvis had always been honest with her, but the whole situation was still very confusing, even if she had to come to terms with it. They saw each other periodically and dated for nearly a year before everything suddenly came to a halt. They both knew the relationship had to end, and that Elvis had to fulfill his marriage commitment to Priscilla. Elvis Presley finally got married to Priscilla in Las Vegas on May 1, 1967. A week later, Ann-Margret also made a similar decision when she married actor Roger Smith in the same city. Ann-Margret and Elvis Presley reunited as friends 10 years before his death. Putting their past behind them, they were both good and loyal friends to each other. In July 1967, during a pause in her film career, Ann-Margret gave her first live performance in Las Vegas with her husband, Roger Smith, who took over as her manager after their engagement. Elvis Presley and his group came to see her during the show's 5-week run and celebrated backstage. Elvis Presley sent her a guitar-shaped floral arrangement when she made her first appearance on the Las Vegas stage. He also continued the practice for all of her Las Vegas openings for the rest of his life until his death. In July 31, 1969, when Elvis Presley opened at the International Hotel, Ann-Margret was in the audience. Throughout the 70s, they both attended each other's Las Vegas shows when possible and visited each other afterwards. On October 9, 1963, Elvis Presley and Priscilla got a divorce. According to Priscilla, they both remained close friends even after their divorce until his death. They continued to live life together, hugging each other occasionally, and remained deeply in love with each other. They never argued or harbored bitterness toward each other, doing so for the sake of their daughter. Ann-Margret and Elvis Presley both had personal struggles in the 70s. Elvis Presley was recorded to have abused prescription medications, while Ann-Margret battled alcohol addiction, which she later overcame. She later heard that Elvis Presley's health had deteriorated and asked Joe Esposito about the state of Presley's health. In 1977, after Ann-Margret received the shocking news that Elvis Presley passed away, she was devastated. Despite Joe Esposito's advice not to attend the funeral, she attended Elvis Presley's funeral at Graceland and was warmly welcomed by Presley's family. Vernon Presley, Elvis Presley's father, embraced her and told her in a private conversation that his son, Elvis Presley, truly loved her, holding her hands tightly. He also told her that Elvis Presley was proud of her. 3 months after Presley's death, his father and Colonel Parker asked Ann-Margret to host a 2-hour Elvis NBC tribute, Memories of Elvis. According to her, that was one of the most difficult, wrenching jobs she had ever done. After hearing that Vernon Presley had fallen seriously ill, Ann-Margret flew down to Memphis to visit him. They both talked about different things and shared stories. He also told her how much he missed his son. She checked up on him occasionally until he died in 1979. Ann-Margret still talks highly of Elvis today, and she defends him whenever someone tries to ridicule him and his artistry. According to her, he didn't deserve the hate because he had his struggles and fears. The 2005 CBS miniseries Elvis included the story of her affair with Elvis Presley during the filming of Viva Las Vegas. Ann-Margret was portrayed by the actress Rose McGowan. One of Elvis Presley's best men at his wedding, Marty Lacker, once wrote that if Elvis had ended up with Ann-Margret, his whole story might have wound up differently. Elvis and Margaret's background. Ann-Margret Olsen was born on April 28, 1941 in Valsjöben, Jämtland County, Sweden. Her father, Carl Gustaf Olsen, was a native of Örnsköldsvik. he emigrated to the United States and later returned to Sweden in 1937, where he met Ann-Margret's mother, Anna Aronson. In 1946, after Ann-Margret was born, the family of three migrated to the United States, where Margaret became a naturalized American citizen in 1949. Her parents played a huge role in her career success. They both worked hard to send her to the Marjorie Young School of Dance, where she took her first dance lessons. Ann-Margret gained popularity in 1961, when she quickly rose to Hollywood stardom as a singer with a sultry, vibrant contralto voice. Ann-Margret's performance in Bye Bye Birdie, 1963, made her a major star when she played the role of an all-American teenager. Her incredible performance also earned her a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress. Her career as an actress began in 1961, when she got signed to a 7-year contract after filming a screen test at 20th Century Fox. Aside from acting, Ann-Margret is a dancer and a singer. She had hits on the dance charts and was once nominated for a Grammy Award for Best New Artist in 1962. The multi-talented actress, singer, and dancer, with a career spanning 7 decades, has appeared on screen severally. Some of her screen roles include Bye Bye Birdie, 1963, Viva Las Vegas, 1964, where she and Elvis Presley played the role of two lovers, and Carnal Knowledge, 1971. Ann-Margret won 5 Golden Globe Awards and an Emmy Award. She also had 2 nominations each for Academy and Grammy Awards. Ann-Margret is a stepmother to 3 children from her marriage with Roger Smith, an actor who later became her manager. Ann-Margret and Roger Smith were married for 50 years until his demise on June 4, 2017. Ann-Margret dated a few others before she got married to her husband. She once dated Eddie Fisher and was briefly engaged to Burt Sugarman. Ann-Margret was also romantically linked to Elvis Presley when they co-starred in the film Viva Las Vegas in 1964. Elvis Presley, an American singer and actor popularly referred to as the King of Rock and Roll, was born in Tupelo, Mississippi on January 8, 1935. When he was 13, his family relocated to Memphis, Tennessee, where he began his music career at Sun Records in 1954. His producer, Sam Phillips, wanted to introduce African American music to a wider audience. Elvis Presley played the guitar alongside Scotty Moore, who was the lead guitarist, and Bill Black, who played the bass. Drummer D.J. Fontana later joined them in 1955. Elvis Presley, along with his group members, was a pioneer of rockabilly, an up-tempo, backbeat-driven fusion of country music and rhythm and blues. RCA Victor later acquired Elvis Presley's contract in a deal that was arranged by Colonel Tom Parker, and RCA Victor managed him for the rest of his career. He released his first RCA Victor single, Heartbreak Hotel, in 1956. The single became the #1 hit in the U.S., and RCA Victor sold 10 million Elvis Presley singles in a year. Elvis Presley gradually became a leading figure in the new popular rock and roll. He was later considered a bad influence on the moral well-being of white American youth as a result of his performance style and his promotion of the then marginalized sound of African Americans. In 1958, Elvis Presley was drafted into military service after he made his debut film, Love Me Tender, in 1956. 2 years later, after his military service, his recording career was launched. Elvis Presley spent a huge part of the 1960s making Hollywood films and soundtrack albums. Some of Presley's most famous films are Jailhouse Rock, 1957, Blue Hawaii, 1961, and Viva Las Vegas, 1964. After his acting career, Elvis Presley returned to the stage in 1968, where he performed in concerts and went on several highly profitable tours. He was the first solo artist to perform in a concert broadcast worldwide. Sadly, Elvis Presley passed away in August at the age of 42 on 1977 due to years of substance abuse, prescription, and unhealthy eating. Elvis Presley is said to be one of the best-selling music artists in history. having sold 500 million records worldwide. He was also a commercial success in many genres, including pop, country, rock and roll, rockabilly, rhythm and blues, adult contemporary, and gospel. Presley won 3 Grammy Awards, received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award at the age of 36, and has been inducted into multiple music halls of fame. He holds several records, even on the most RIAA-certified gold and platinum albums, and also the most albums charted on the Billboard 200, the most #1 albums by a solo artist on the UK Albums Chart, and the most #1 singles by any act on the UK Singles Chart. Elvis Presley is still regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. In 2012, the spider, Pareidonia presleyi, was named in his honor. President Donald Trump also awarded Elvis Presley the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously in 2018. Elvis Presley was formerly married to Priscilla Beaulieu before their divorce on October 1973. The couple met in Bad Nauheim and got married after 7.5 years of courtship. Elvis Presley only had a girl child, Lisa Marie, who was born on February 1, 1968, during a period when he had grown deeply unhappy with his career. Aside from his affair with Ann Margaret, he also dated Linda Thompson and Ginger Alden, whom he proposed marriage to after 2 months of dating. What do you think about the relationship between Elvis Presley and Ann Margaret? Do you think if Elvis Presley had ended up with Ann Margaret, she would have been able to help him overcome his addiction to substances and his unhealthy eating habits? Share your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.